All right, so part 3, example 2 says you use a calculator to find the approximate value of each expression. Round your answers to 2 decimal places. Be sure your calculator is in the appropriate mode. All right, guys, so anytime you touch the sine, cosine, or tangent button on your calculator, you have to think about your mode. Your mode depends on what your angle is. So look at 1. What is that angle? It's sine of 71 degrees or radians? Degrees. So because I'm going to have to hit the sine button, I need to know what mode to be in. And since my angle is in degrees, I need to be in degree mode. So go to mode. Make sure your calculator's in degree mode, because if you clear it by default, it goes to radian mode, okay? So make sure you're in degree mode, and then type in sine of 71 degrees. And it says round it to 2 decimal places.
0.96 or 5.
Good, 0.95. Now look at tangent of 5 pi over 7. So yeah, that's 5 pi over 7 radians, so we need to be in radian mode. And what did we get? Good. So I'm going to add in a number 3 here. So what if I wanted cotangent of 5 pi over 7? No, we don't hit the second button, okay? The second button is your inverse button. And we tend to, in lower level math, before pre-cal, we tend to mix up the words inverse and reciprocal. We use them meaning the same thing, but they really don't quite, especially once you get into trig, okay? So remember, an inverse means you're going to switch x and y. So if I switch that input, that 5 pi over 7, with the y, this is I'm looking for an angle. That's what that inverse button's going to be, okay? So the second trig function means I'm looking for an angle. I'm not looking for an angle here. I know my angle. It's 5 pi over 7. I just need the y value.
So you just use tangent and switch.
But what do we know about, what's the relationship between cotangent and tangent?
Switch to x and y.
No, that's an inverse. We're not going to switch. We're not solving for an angle. But what do we know about cotangent and tangent?
It means co.
They're reciprocals of each other, aren't they? And what does a reciprocal mean?
It shows an endpoint.
So earlier when I said, well, if I knew that cosecant was a reciprocal of sine, what could I have done to the number for the sine to get the answer for cosecant? Do you remember? All right, let me try this. What is the reciprocal of 3/4? 4/3. What did you do? You flipped it, right? So we know that cotangent is really just 1 over tangent, isn't it? As a reciprocal. So if cotangent of 5 pi over 7, I don't have a cotangent button, so I'm going to type it in as 1 over that tangent of 5 pi over 7. And what did you get?
Negative 0.82.
Wait, why can't you just... Oh, okay.
Why can't I what? Sorry, go ahead and ask.
So why didn't... For the fraction 3 or 4, I mean, just switch to 4 to 3.
Uh-huh.
Can you just do 7 over 5?
Because that's the angle, not the answer. Okay? You can't just flip the angle. You have to flip the cotangent of the 5 pi over 7, which makes it become 1 over tangent of the 5 pi over 7. The angle stays the same. If it's one of the reciprocal functions, you just make it 1 over whatever it's the reciprocal of. So if this had been secant, I'm not going to work it out, but if this had been secant of 27 degrees, then I would type it in as 1 over cosine of 27 degrees. If it had been cosecant of 7, that doesn't have a degree symbol, so it's in radians, okay? But if it had been cosecant of 7, then I'd have typed it in as 1 over sine of 7 and made chosen radian mode to get my answer for these, okay?